Metallica's Master of Puppets is themed around insanity, control, and rebelling against conformity. But if we look closer, will we find things that weren't so obvious? Let's analyze the philosophy of Master of Puppets. Welcome, metalheads. I'm the host of Heavy Metal Philosophy and writer for Metal Digest, John Barbas, and today we're talking about Master of Puppets. There's a new Metallica album coming out, so what better time to analyze what got us here? We'll start with Battery, which is one of the most simple songs to analyze, and it will be the opposite for the last song in the album, which is one of the hardest songs to analyze, so stick around, let's get to it. Battery. Well, what is a battery? In military terms, it's two or more pieces of artillery working in combined action. Well, I really think that in the terms of this song, it's actually about a mosh pit, and the two or more pieces of artillery working in a combined action is actually the metalheads in the pit. And there's a couple of lyrics that lead me to this conclusion. The first of which is, "Cannot kill the family, battery is found in me." Who is the family? And especially as we're analyzing this album, we have to think about the time that it was written. And the time that this was written was the mid-'80s when Metallica was still very young. And this was before they were the monumental band that would go on world tours, selling out arenas. These are going to be smaller, more intimate shows, and they're going to be a firm part of the thrash metal scene. So the family is not only the metalheads in the pits, but also the other members of that thrash scene, particularly in the Bay Area. Cannot kill the family. And then the other lyric that leads me to believe that this is about the mosh pit is "Circle of destruction. Hammer comes crushing. Powerhouse of energy. Whipping up a fury, dominating flurry. We create the battery." Yoda! No, I'm recording a podcast. I'll pet you later. Now you might be thinking to yourself at this time, that doesn't sound like it's about insanity or control or anti-conformity, but let's look at the opening lyrics and remember, I said this is one of the easier songs to analyze. We're going to go a lot deeper with the other songs as we go along. Bear with me, but let's look at these other lyrics to bring it all together. So the opening lyrics, lashing out the action, returning the reaction, weak or ripped and torn away, smashing through the boundaries, lunacy has found me. There's the insanity, cannot stop the battery. The metalheads are not conforming and they're smashing all of the boundaries. And they're doing it with maddening violence. And just to show what a monumental record this is, it opened with Battery, which is one of the greatest thrash songs of all time, and is followed by Master of Puppets. We've already done the philosophy of Ride the Lightning, and on that's where we figured that was where Metallica became Metallica. They were still very much figuring out their sound on Kill 'Em All, but Ride the Lightning is where they figured it out, and Master of Puppets is then at their peak with that lineup. They couldn't do any better than Master of Puppets, and in my opinion, between not being able to top Master of Puppets and also losing Cliff is why they pivoted during Injustice, because they were in grief, but also they knew they had to do something different because there's no way they could write an album like Master of Puppets that would top it. And the song Master of Puppets is the perfect example of that because it's got everything. It's a metal tour de force. But we're here to talk about the philosophy. And as I said at the beginning, a lot of these songs, you'll look at them and it'll seem obvious. Oh yeah, this song is about this. But really think about what's going on. Master of Puppets is obviously about addiction. At this point, Metallica are touring all over the world, living the rock star life. They've seen their fair share of insanity, and the irony of it all is they've got a song decrying the dangers and the control and the insanity of addiction, and yet they drank so heavily that they earned the nickname Alcoholica at the time. I mean, on this song, James decries all the drugs from heroin to cocaine. He doesn't mention his favorite drug, alcohol. Needlework the way, never you betray, life of death becoming clearer, pain monopoly, ritual misery, chop your breakfast on a mirror. These are the drugs that James is decrying. all the while drinking himself into a stupor along with his bandmates. And it makes me wonder, was it youthful hypocrisy, or perhaps it was his subconscious recognizing the control and the insanity that he was living under? And then next up is one of the heaviest 80s thrash songs ever written, The Thing That Should Not Be. We've already done an episode on this channel about why metalheads are so drawn to Lovecraft. We all love the eldritch horror. It speaks to us. That existentialism is a powerful metaphor. And here we have Metallica for the second album in a row after Ride the Lightning, writing a song about Cthulhu. And while Cthulhu may have been a one-off on Ride the Lightning, this subject matter makes perfect sense in the overall theme of the album Master of Puppets, because as we said, this album is all about insanity, and all of the characters that come in contact with the great old ones wind up going insane. And it makes me wonder if the order of the songs on the album were done so purposely, because right after The Thing That Should Not Be is Sanitarium. Once again, we have to keep in mind the time that this song was written in, the mid-80s. This was during the Reagan administration, when all of the people in the mental hospitals were released to the public. And that is one part of the history a lot of people talk about, but the other part of the history is a lot of those mental hospitals were abusive. There was inhumane practices in these hospitals. This is where lobotomies were taking place. This is where electroshock therapy was taking place. So Sanitarium may not just be about the protagonist's experience in the mental hospital, but it may be a song about what happened in these hospitals in general. This was when these stories were at the forefront of the news, and I imagine it had something to do with inspiring James to write this song. And then next up is Disposable Heroes, another song in the long line of fantastic anti-war songs from Metallica, especially in the early days. And it would be easy to write it off as yet another anti-war song, but I think, once again, if we just go past the obvious and we can go a little bit deeper, I think this song is not just anti-war, but it's talking about the lies that get us into war and how they convince young impressionable people that they're going to be heroes for this noble cause. Listen to the first lyrics. Bodies fill the fields I see, hungry heroes end. No one to play soldier now, no one to pretend. This isn't just about the tragic end of life. It's about these soldiers thought that they were going to be heroes. More a man, more stripes you wear. Glory seeker trends. Bodies fill the fields I see. The slaughter never ends. Why am I dying? Kill. Have no fear. This seems like a conversation. Lie. Live off lying. Hell. Hell is here. And if we look at American history, especially the post-60s and 70s history, we can see that none of those wars were justified when we learn the truth. They were all based on lies, and if the government had have told the truth about what they were waging these wars for, these heroic soldiers probably would not have as willingly lent themselves to the cause. These are, after all, moral and heroic men that have been misled. Next up, we have Leper Messiah, which once again, quite obviously on the surface, seems like an anti-Christianity song, but if you dig a little deeper, I think that it's not anti-Christianity per se, but more so, it's about the false prophets. It's about the televangelists, especially, once again, when this song was written in the mid-80s. This was the height of televangelism, and it was when the fundamentalist Christian movement and the Republican Party's marriage fully took hold. Send me money, send me green, heaven you will meet, make a contribution, and you'll get a better seat. This is about the prosperity gospel. Then the next song, Orion, one of the greatest thrash metal instrumental songs ever written, and in my opinion is Cliff Burton at the peak of his powers. When I first heard this song, I didn't even know that several of the solos are in fact bass solos. I thought they were guitar solos. Nope, that was done on bass with the mastery of Cliff Burton. Orion was a Greek hunter who went on many adventures, and this song has sort of an adventurous, epic feel to it. I could listen to this song all day. Now, obviously being instrumental, there's not much philosophy to go over here, so let's just sing the praises. All hail Cliff Burton. Now, as I said at the beginning of the episode, Battery was the easiest to analyze, but Damage Incorporated to me is the hardest to analyze, and this is where I'm going to need y'all's help. Y'all tell me in the comments, what do you think Damage Incorporated is about? Again, the obvious read, just listening to it, just reading the lyrics right off the surface, is violence begets violence, blood for blood, blood will follow blood. I mean, all of that is obvious, but why is it incorporated? Is this an anti-corporation song? Is this about organized violence? And what the fuck is a Razorback? Slamming through, don't fuck with Razorback. Stepping out, you'll feel hell on your back. What? I think that the meaning of this song, a lot of it probably hinges on those two questions. What is he referring to here when he was referring to the Razorback? And why is it Damage Incorporated? Is this an evil corporation? Is this an organized violence group? I think the answers to those questions will let us know what's underneath the surface of this song. And not only do I need your help in the comments to help me analyze this song, but I also want to ask you, what do you think about this? We've already done the philosophy of Ride the Lightning. We've already done the philosophy of the first Gojira album. Do you want me to do And Justice for All next? I'm definitely not going to do them back to back because I don't want this channel to become a Metallica channel, but there will be more Metallica stuff as we lead up to 72 Seasons, the new Metallica album. I'm very excited about it. I definitely want to do more of these. I just don't want to do them every week. Plus, it takes a bit of research and reading. What do you think? Do you want more of these? Do you want more bands for me to analyze? I'm willing to do it. Hit that like button if you liked it. If there's no comment section because you're listening to the podcast audio only, you can hit my social media in the description. If you're on YouTube and you missed the philosophy of Ride the Lightning, you can click right here. It'll be right there for you. If you're podcasting, then just click the links in the description. But most importantly, read philosophy, listen to metal. I love you.